This is the U.S. Navy's only defense training ground in the Pacific Ocean. Since 1941, it has been used for naval, marine, and Air Force drilling and bombing. For more than 30 years, it was off limits to the general public, until a small, determined group of Hawaiians fought for the right to rediscover their heritage on the island. Its name, Kaho'Olawe. Most people envision Kaho'Olawe as a 45 square mile hot, dusty rock, and parts of it are. But there are also beautiful beaches, rugged mountains, and yes, there are even trees. It's the smallest of the 8 major Hawaiian islands, but to a group called the Protect Kaho'Olawe Ohana, it is much more than that.
It's a place where you can go and know that your ancestors walked there, and you can place your foot on some place that you know another Hawaiian walked a long time ago. There's this channel that runs between Kaho'Olawe and Lanai, and it's supposed to be a very fast channel, and it's supposed to be a channel in which the Hawaiians took to go back to Tahiti, and it's called Kealaikahiki. And I believe, literally translated, it means the way to Tahiti. But the way I translate it, it means the way back home. For the Hawaiians, it was perhaps back to Tahiti. And for me, Kaho'Olawe is just that. For me, it's the way back home. And that path leads inside of me. And it's enabled me to come to grips with what it means to be a Hawaiian.
A few Hawaiian men were irresistibly drawn to the island. They wanted to solve the mystery of its place in their culture. After many illegal visits, they formed a group, the Ohana, and through a series of court battles won legal access in 1979. Now, organized parties may visit the island 4 to 10 days every month. We were curious about just what they do there, why the island is so important to them. So we became members of the Ohana for a few days. Getting clearance from the Navy is only part of the process of going to Kaho'Olawe. It would seem to be downhill from there. But the Ohana faces practical difficulties made even more frustrating by the fact that the island is now within its reach. Kaho'Olawe falls into the rare category of Hawaiian lands devoid of commercialization. But the flip side of that phenomenon is that it is without civilization also. Things such as running water and shelter from the elements are non-existent there, and the Ohana must prepare well for the adventure, taking food, water, tools, medical supplies, everything they will need to survive for days in the wild. In addition, they take ho'okupus, usually plants, as offerings of thanks to the island, all of which must be floated in, as the shore is too rocky to land a boat. On a typical access, the members gather on Maui, and the Ohana feeling is born. Preparations for the journey include bagging everything in plastic to protect it from the ocean, and every participant has to have 5 gallons of water, which in pounds amounts to well over a ton. The members, as a rule, don't have much money. The group doesn't even own a boat to take them over. They are subject to the whims of weather and the availability of a charter vessel, and often the journey begins with long hours of waiting.
We look for the signs of good weather. We look for coordination in the logistics. Getting 75 to 200 people a month to Kaho'Olawe, which is the access is for July, August, September. Takes a lot of commitment from people all over the state who coordinate. Getting people to Maui, getting people to Ma'alaia or Lahaina or Makena side, and getting boats. Plenty of boats right here in Ma'alaia and Lahaina. Tourist boats and fishing boats. And hard to get somebody who is feeling really good about what the Ohana has done for Kaho'Olawe.
You know the kind of the process that we've had to go through, you know, just to get onto that island, I think it's good for human beings to put out that much energy, to have that much desire to go to a place like that.
Is it frustrating after having worked so hard to gain access to the island that it's so difficult to actually get over there?
It's frustrating for while you're doing all this, yeah. We're supposed to have left last night, this morning, and now we're waiting around. But the rewards, I've seen so many people benefit from the Kaho'Olawe experience, are really well worth the frustrations just now.
Zeroing in on your freckles. But there is an end to every wait.
For me, going to Kaho'Olawe was a prayer. And I needed to be on the prow of the boat. I needed to be there, the first person to see it, or to have the first opportunity to see it that I could. And I rode on the prow of the boat for about, you know, that 1.5-hour trip. And the excitement was building, but, you know, not the kind of excitement where you're agitated, but just a slow building. You know, every inch that you move closer to it is the closer you come to some sort of answer, some sort of conclusion, some completion in your life. You look at Kaho'Olawe on a map, and it's practically nothing. But you look at it with your own human eyes, you know, and it's a tremendous size, and it's awesome, you know. And from that point on, your impressions or the things that your impressions that you've already formed about Kaho'Olawe are changed from that first introduction. I worried because I had to swim in. I was willing to do that. I was willing to do it as an act of, not penance, but as a show of good faith. I needed to do that. And it was a struggle for me to get in. It was like the water right around me was dead, and the island wasn't cooperating. It didn't matter who I was. It didn't matter that I came in good faith. It didn't matter that I came with love. It had been hurt so many times. I was just another face, another person to burden that place, to sit on that place, to take what it has to offer and give nothing back.
Came to perhaps get in tune more with what the Hawaiian peoples felt like or did before there was Western contact, to get in touch with the land here that perhaps most of us have gotten out of contact with, being so modernized and Western.
After it was established that everyone was in safely with no injuries and all the supplies had been gathered, There was a pause for thanks.
When you sleep there at night, you stretch out along the sand, and we usually sleep on the sand because it's very cool there, no mosquitoes, yeah? And I can feel that place breathe. And I can feel that rhythm as though, and know that it's alive. All your senses are put into play, and you can feel that place. I can feel that place as I felt no place else.
Alive is a concept alien to the Western world, but the ancient Hawaiians really did believe the land had a life of its own. The words aloha aina, to love the land, have meaning to the Ohana. They live the phrase, and especially on the island of Kaho'Olawe. To live in harmony with the land, to respect it, to pattern life after its rhythms. Ua mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono. The life of the land is preserved in righteousness.
Okay, pick it up, move it out.
Every access, members make a pilgrimage of sorts, a hike up to the highest point on the island. The path is straight up rocky terrain with no shade from the merciless sun. It's not an easy journey, but worth the struggle.
It's the mauna of this island, the head. And in Hawaiian tradition, the head is very important. You never strike the head because this is sacred to the Akoya, because the god lives in here.
The most sacred place on the island of Kaho'Olawe to the Ohana is Mo'ula, where the ancient kahunas came to study and to teach. When the founders of the Ohana first saw Mo'ula, it was a barren mound with a large flat rock in the middle. They didn't know how the boulder arrived at the spot or why it was there. But they did know that for them it had cultural and spiritual significance. They turned to their kapuna, their elders, for the answer.
Since the summer of '79, when the courts granted us legal accesses here for cultural, religious, educational, scientific purposes, we brought more than a couple dozen kupuna, flew them in by helicopter, landed them here, carried them up here, and was able to develop their mana'o, their feelings for this area. And within the 2 years, we've finally puked through. We've come through with what this area means for Hawaiians all over the state and for our brothers and sisters in Tahiti. Just the lay of the pohaku, the rocks, tell us that this is an archaeological site. This is a platform. Most likely the kupuna that we brought here tell us that this is a heiau, a temple.
What did the kahuna study here?
Well, astronomy, read the stars, study the ocean, the currents. At least you study the star, the ocean, the currents, the wind, the bird, the flight of birds. Because we always go back and forth from Tahiti, and we see foreign people there. And we make our living off the ocean. So they come here to gain knowledge.
But what does this site mean to the younger generation of Hawaiians?
As the kupuna said, this is the most sacred spot on this island, and it should be studied and learned and kept the way it is, so that, you know, it can be shared like the kupuna shared it with me. I am not from any place but Hawaii, so the culture and the things about Hawaii should be passed on and shared and accepted inside with love, 100+% and understanding. And Kaho'Olawe means a lot because no distractions. You can come here and concentrate on what people are saying and understand, because it's there to see and it's there to believe. And I know we have the military that's destroying a lot of it, but whatever is left that we have found is of proof, and it's real, and it has meaning. And that's why I am here, and I'm sure that's why a lot of our brothers and sisters and kupunas and everyone comes here to see what we say and believe.
On a hot day, bringing our youth up here from all the islands, from the big island, Hilo, Ka'u. They've come from Kamehameha schools. They come from Lanai, our beautiful island of Molokai, Maui, and Kauai. This is where it's all at. To teach, learn. To teach, no place in Hawaii, here on Mo'ula, the Piko, my way of thinking, the Piko, and my love to pass on before I become a kupuna, pass on to our young youth.
I am a mo'opuna of this area, and a mo'opuna is a grandchild. They shouldn't close the book on us, because someday we're going to be the grandparents, and we want to inspire our children and our grandchildren just as well as we were inspired or encouraged to use the natural things in our life, the things that's here already.
This has been the Ohana's base camp at Kaho'Olawe for the past 3 years. It is wooded enough to provide some shelter, but it is still camping outdoors. Here, the themes of living according to the rhythms of nature and working in harmony are exemplified. The people that make the journey to Kaho'Olawe are not just Hawaiians. They are of different ethnic origins, professions, and walks of life. But the atmosphere is of one big happy family.
People don't rush about. They don't scream at you. They don't, tie you down to time. You look at the sun, and if it's very hot, you rest. If it's cool, you work really hard. I mean, everything's judged. Everything goes according to the rhythm of nature. And for human beings, I think that's very, very important. It's as though pretenses and the kinds of walls that people build between each other, sexes build between each other, they have no place there. They're really out of step with that place. So that in the morning, the women and the men wake up. Women go to the kitchen, prepare the food. The men go down to the beach and they fish. And you can hear their shouts, down the beach when they catch something really big. And you feel so comforted to know that it's possible for people to live that way, even for a short space of time, to really feel, to understand that must have been how it was, before, and that we haven't lost the ability to do that.
And they haven't lost the ability to laugh either.
Okay, Bob, finish.
But I believe, mentally, if you've had an experience like Kaho'Olawe, or had one on Kaho'Olawe, you can generate that experience for yourself within your own self. But it's sort of triggering that action or that reaction again that's necessary. And I think that's how, that's what happens there.
The main project in the campsite these days is the building of a shelter. The Ohana is constructing it by hand using ohia logs from the Big Island, bamboo from Maui, and pili grass and lauhala from Oahu and Lanai.
We're building a halau for everybody to come, sit down, talk story with each other. They feel closer, quicker. You go inside the halau, you know, easier for take off where you just left. Like you know, now me I speak too about the Hawaiians too. There are a lot of things are covered on top of them, layers and layers and layers of indoctrination. 200 years of layers. So that when you come here in this halau, it's supposed to just help you get rid of a couple layers quicker. You know, so you come back to yourself, your right senses.
The motions of making the trip to Kaho'Olawe, the tasks performed there, the outward accomplishments are meaningful in themselves. But the real importance lies in what the process fosters on the inside of those who choose to experience it. One Ohana member said, "The place shows me what I am not, what I am, and what I should be." What they learn about here is themselves.
Why is it so special? I mean, why can you not get that feeling anywhere else? Many people can, you know, get that feeling somewhere else. But for me, I get it from Kaho'Olawe.